Fluent and Chill. It's about life. It's about sports. And I'm here as always with the OG, Chill Town 32. Jermaine, Jay, how you doing, man?
What's going on, brother? Let's do it, man.
We got a lot. We have a lot to cover. So we're going to jump right in. We have a bunch of questions sent to us by a friend of Stefan Diggs of the Buffalo Bills. And these are a bunch of questions that Stefan Diggs had posted on Twitter. And a Buffalo Bill teammate of his said, hey, can you guys tackle some of these? Now, there was 8 of them. I picked kind of 4 that I thought it would be fun to talk about. We're going to talk about the NBA MVP selection and how they might be changing the criteria, which, we'll talk about what the criteria used to be, at least in our eyes, and kind of what this means this year in terms of who's the front runner right now. Paul George and the Clippers. We're going to talk about them a little bit. We're going to talk about the Lakers. And I know you don't want to talk about the Lakers, but LeBron said something. That we need to discuss. So maybe that'll be a short one. Okay. But first, if you talk slick about my wife, I'm going to punch you in the face. However, if I'm sitting in an audience and I'm being roasted by a comedian, I'm probably not jumping on stage and punching the comedian in the face, because that's part of the deal. If you go to a comedy show and you sit there, the comedians roast the guys in the audience quite often. When you go to an award show like the Oscars or the Emmys or, whatever award shows, the host of the show typically does pick out people in the audience, and sometimes they don't like the jokes, but they laugh it off and move on. A couple of nights ago, however, Chris Rock made a joke that, to be honest, it wasn't funny because it wasn't a very good joke. Will Smith had a little chuckle, but then saw that his wife Jada didn't like it so much. Walked up on stage, and it was the slap heard around the world in Chris Rock's face. My favorite part of that, by the way, was you saw Chris Rock stop and was like, there's so many things he could have said as a comedian that would have, because we know the history, most of us know the history of Will Smith and Jada, their entanglements and such. He could have gotten way worse than the G.I. Jane joke. Now I get it. Alopecia, I believe she has, and she's losing her hair. And, some people be like, well, that joke was a little off-putting. Yeah. But, so I want your take on that. I don't know if you saw it live, if you watched the Oscars. I did not. I got it right away. I mean, 1 second after it happened, my DMs were blown up. Did you see this? What do you think? So what do you think? Let's start with the slap, and we'll get to the so-called apology after.
Well, let's rewind the clock, Tone. If you remember, Chris Rock hosted the Oscars a couple of years ago, and he also made a joke about how Will Smith and Jada Pinkett boycotted the Oscars, and he made a joke about them boycotting the Oscars, like, so you weren't invited anyway, which I thought was funny. So obviously we got a problem. All right. So now we have a problem, which you can handle this problem before we even get to the festivities. I need to talk to you. Hey, I don't know exactly what your skit is tonight. I don't know what's going on with you tonight, but any jokes about me or my wife, I'm not trying to hit it. So keep us out of anything that you got going on. Now that way, whatever issue that we have, we've gotten to the bottom of it. That's number 1. Number 2, my grandmother, 6th grade education, the smartest woman that I've ever met, the dopest woman that I've ever met in my whole life, said to me when I was a kid, there's a time and a place for everything. When he made that joke about his wife, all right, now remember, Tone, we already got to the bottom of this, all right? If had we had that conversation, we'd already gotten to the bottom of this. So if he wants to still make that joke, I'm going to talk. I'm going to see you after this. This is not the time nor the place for that. Not right here. Absolutely not. I initially thought it was staged, Tony. My initial thought, I thought it was staged. It's Hollywood. And when I saw the backlash, when I saw him in tears, now I'm starting to think, well, was it staged? There's still a part of me that thinks that it was staged, but that wasn't the place for that. I'm not listening to anybody trying to sell me logic of, if you married, then defend your wife. Right.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
I started off by saying, you talk slick about my wife, I'm going to punch you in your face.
I got no problem with that. Absolutely, I got no problem with that. But there's a time and there's a place for everything. And that wasn't the place for that.
Right.
That was not the place for that. On live. So let me make sure I'm getting this straight, Tone. On live television, at the Oscars, the most prestigious, the biggest award show, with maybe the exception of the Academy Awards. This dude, and I don't know if Will Smith, I don't know if there's a bigger actor in America or even on the planet than Will Smith. And I don't know if there's a bigger comedian on the planet than Will Smith. Than Chris Rock. And he's going to walk up on stage on live television in front of a live audience in the middle of a joke and smack this dude. And you're telling me that that's not staged. I mean, this is Hollywood now. We have to make sure we remember that this is Hollywood.
Yeah. The only reason because immediately in the moment I thought, oh, these guys set this up. Because I remember Chris Rock was on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, if you remember, in a dress.
He was.
In a dress.
Yes, he was.
And the two have had, like, there's pictures of him and Chris and Jada together. And so, they know each other clearly. Mm-hmm. They've hung out, whatever. So I thought, okay, this is staged. The moment I thought it wasn't staged was, one, Will looks very emotional when he's screaming, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth."
Beep. Mm-hmm.
That looked legit emotional. And Chris Rock's reaction, because no offense to Chris Rock, I don't think I believe Will Smith could be faking it because he's a great interesting kind of side note. My wife and I just finished watching King Richard. And we were like, wow, Will Smith is like one of the greatest actors ever. He is so good in that Venus and Serena Williams. I don't know if you've seen the movie. Okay.
I've seen the previews. I haven't seen the movie, and I'm not going to see it neither, Tom.
Oh, it's a great movie. Oh no, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. I
lost a lot of respect for Will Smith on Sunday night. I did. I lost a lot of respect for him.
We saw it before that, and we're saying, hey, he's such a great actor. So I believe he could have faked it and been acting. Chris Rock, no offense, isn't that good of an actor to the point where he looks truly shocked. And like, I think you hear him calling for security. He says someone's name, right? I don't know if you noticed that. I might be the only one who caught on to this. As Will Smith's walking up, he's like, hey, Bob or Richard. Well, he's calling out someone's name who I can only assume to be, because he's not saying, hey, Will, stop. He's calling somebody else. He's like, what's going on here? Oh, hey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't think it's staged, because I don't think Chris Rock, his shock was real.
Now, there's a difference, Tone, between being a great actor and being a great professional, because Chris Rock was a great professional.
Oh, he was.
Absolutely, he was. And Will Smith, you could keep that apology because you had an opportunity to apologize.
He didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Not to Chris Rock.
Well, actually, he did. It was in a statement. Yeah.
Oh, it was in a statement? Did I miss it?
It was in a statement on Twitter. He apologized to Chris Rock, which you could keep because you had an opportunity to apologize for what you did when you got that award. Which also, by the way, Tone, let's make sure we clear on this. This is the same guy who won an Oscar who's on stage crying and preaching love, but you walk up on stage in the middle of an award show and smack a guy who is just as big, who is a huge deal. I lost a lot of respect for Will Smith after that. And I don't know, I'm not going to say that I'm completely out, but I'm going to keep my distance from Will Smith. I'm good on him, yo.
It's funny because I understand the people who defend saying, hey, it's his wife and he had, I do. I get it in certain circumstances. But let's use the Oscars as an example. But if every actor who is offended by a joke made by the host of a show or someone giving away an award, you'd literally have a nonstop run of actors walking up on stage and slapping.
You got to get security and have them around the stage because
that's not the time.
Turn into something.
Like maybe I'm being overly, a pacifist, I get, but I'm just like, when he had he not done that, had he just taken the joke in stride, and then when he wins his award, say, hey, I get it, Chris, you're trying to make people laugh, but Jada's dealing with, because she's open about it, so it's not like he's talking, out of school, right? Jada's dealing with alopecia. This is like a disease that she has, and that's why she has no hair. So you know what, man? Me and you used to be friends. I really don't like that joke you made because you know that she has a disease. And now it's like, oh, now everyone's like, oh, Chris, man. I think that hurts Chris more than a slap, right? Here's the other thing that I heard, can't verify. We'll wait for Chris Rock and his people to respond. Chris didn't know that she had this. He just thought she shaved her head.
Because she does weird things. That's why. Because she does weird things. Absolutely, she does. And my question, and since we're on the subject of him walking on the stage, wonder if he would have done that if that was Tupac up there. And he made a joke about it.
If Tupac made, well, it's funny.
I wonder if he would have done that if that was Tupac on the stage. If he would have got up and tried to swing on Tupac, I doubt very seriously that he'd done that.
It's funny.
I doubt that.
The memes are if it was The Rock instead of Chris Rock.
Right.
The Rock was giving, and he made that joke.
Right.
Would he walk up to The Rock like
right.
that? And then since you brought up Tupac, it's interesting because there's a bunch of memes now as well where Jada's like, "You think I'm impressed with the slap? Tupac would have shot that fool."
Yeah, I did, Tone. I lost a lot of respect for Will Smith after that because that was classless. That was out of line. And anybody that's trying to sell me the notion of if you ain't got a wife, you don't understand. I absolutely understand, and I absolutely am. I absolutely will defend my wife. But there's a time and there's a place for everything.
Yeah,
and that wasn't the place for that.
I'm with you.
That was not the place for that.
So let's move off of that for a minute because that was, listen, everyone's been talking about that. Interesting. Yeah. This is this little shout out to TikTok. The video of Will walking up and slapping Chris Rock is all over TikTok. Like, I mean, there's probably 1,000 of them. So I have a question, and I'm going to send this to because I have a friend who just got a job at TikTok.
How about that?
So we're going to see if we can't get ourselves verified. But my video got taken down. I have the exact same video of him walking up and slapping Chris Rock, just like everybody else has. I just added in a poll. I said, is it, because I wanted to have the numbers for this show. And I said, was Will out of line? Did he overstep his bounds, right? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a few thousand people had responded. It was good. They took it down for community guidelines because I'm showing violence. And I appealed it and lost, which I've never lost an appeal before because I don't put that kind of stuff on, right? I talk sports. But yeah, they took it down. So I don't have the numbers. Most people agree that he was out of line the last time I checked it before it got taken down. So I'm just curious. I'm going to send this to TikTok and ask them, how come everybody else is still up?
That's interesting.
All right. So let's move from life to sports. I know you don't want to talk about my Lakers. However,
oh boy.
However, LeBron James said, if the Lakers get the 8th seed, they will beat the Suns. Is that just him trying to give his team confidence and being a good teammate? Does he actually believe that? Do you believe that?
I do not believe that. That's number one. And what that is, I don't think it's satire, but I do believe that it's false. There is no evidence, James, that you've given us, not you in particular, because James leads the league in scoring. He leads the Lakers in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. He's the best player on their team, right? So with that being said, he absolutely will be the guy who's the catalyst of what they're doing. But how inconsistent this Laker team is, how up and down this Laker team is, how dysfunctional this Laker team has been, there is no evidence that you have given me to make me believe that you and your Lakers with that old unit could actually beat the most complete team, I think, in the NBA in a 7-game series. I would be extremely impressed if your team could do something like that. I completely disagree.
Let me start with this. One, LeBron's averaging just under 30 points a game, right? If you're in math class, you're rounding that up to 30. But let me just kind of put this out there because everyone's like, wow. At his age, wow is correct. However, his average for his career is 27 and change. He's averaging 1 less assist and getting 1 more bucket. So instead of 27 and change, he's now 29 and change, but he's down an assist. So instead of passing 1 more time, he's just taking 1 more shot. So it's crazy impressive at his age, but based on what we've seen him do, he's just he's replacing 1 assist for 1 bucket. That's all.
Right. So we shouldn't be blown away. We should just be like, this is him anyway.
Let's not act like he went from 20 points a game to 30 points a game.
Right.
He went from 27 and change to 29 and change with 1 less assist. If
it was 27 and now he went from 27 to like 35, we like, damn, wow, that's pretty impressive.
He's literally flopped 1 assist for 1 bucket. Okay,
that's it.
So I'm impressed by him doing that because he's 73 years old. But okay, let's not go crazy here. Okay,
he'll be 73 in December. Tom.
Oh, December. Excuse me.
Let's not make him too much older than what he already is.
Well, he's around my age, so I'm figuring out that's how I feel. So I'm going to use the same age because I don't know how him and Tom Brady. I don't know how these guys do what they do at their age, because I'm like, I can't get up in the morning. You guys are all taking hits and dunking the ball. So to his point, could the Lakers upset the Suns? There's a lot of ifs that would have to happen. If Chris Paul is still hurt, if AD is fully healthy, if they put, is this crazy what I'm about to say? They put Westbrook on the bench? Hear me out.
I'm all ears for this one.
The Lakers with LeBron and AD won a chip,
Yes,
right? And who did they have? Rondo. He wasn't the same Celtics Rondo. He was older, still playoff Rondo, but still he was Rondo. An older Dwight Howard, just getting rebounds and playing a role. Like, that was the team that won it a couple of years ago. It wasn't that long ago. So is it crazy to assume LeBron, who's playing better probably now than he was in the bubble?
You're right.
AD, if he's, like I said, this is a big if, right? If he's healthy and playing well, and Russ, could you get him to agree to this? I don't know. But then Westbrook comes in and runs your second unit against Phoenix's second unit. Actually, I think that's a mismatch in the Lakers' favor. And then just add in those other shooters around LeBron and AD. It's not ridiculous, is it?
Yeah, in fact, it is. And the reason why this in particular is, and here's why, Toad. So we'll start with, in your words, Mr. Day-to-Day Davis. We'll start with him. Okay, so his game has never been in question, ever. When he's healthy, he's a top 5 player. There's no doubt about that. Only except he's missed almost 3 months of the season. And now I am asking him to come back into the lineup around the playoffs and start playing like he did 2 years ago when we won the NBA championship. That's what I'm asking him to do against the number 1 seed. Okay, good luck with that. When they had Rondo 2 years ago when they won the NBA championship, Rondo stands on toughness, defense, and his basketball IQ is through the roof. He stands on that. Russ, on the other hand, one way. This is the only way Russ plays. And even if he comes off the bench, even if he's on the first unit, he only plays one way. So there is no switching up Russ. Russ is who he is. So if Russ is who he is, this Anthony Davis being in and out of the lineup, this team, they are who they are. So with them being who they are at, what are they, in 10th place right now? I don't think that they're a playoff team, Tone. And James trying to sell me the logic that they can beat Phoenix, he's saying that because he is the quote-unquote Billy Badass of this unit. So, of course, when you got one Billy Badass saying, we can beat these guys, of course you're going to have some people going, well, maybe you can. When in reality, you forget who this Billy Badass is running with. And you forget the fact that this gang has been beat up more times than they've won. But they do have this one guy who's really, really good, or he can fight really well. And he's telling us we could beat these guys. But those of us who know, no, you can't.
So let's say Chris Paul is hurt and Anthony Davis is healthy. You don't think LeBron could go for like 35, 40, 8 and 9?
To even ask him, that's nuts.
Games.
And that's the greatness of this guy, because at 37 years old, to even ask him to have to do that at this age and at this juncture in his career. Hey, my man, I know that, you're getting a little long in the tooth, but I was wondering if you could turn back the clock about 5 more years and do what you did back then and see if you could get us back to the mountaintop. I know that, you aren't as sturdy as you used to be. You hold up pretty good you got hurt, but you've been holding up pretty good. But I was wondering if you could turn the clock back. And this is the same Chris Paul tone that you talked about being hurt. I think a couple of nights ago, he went 19 and 14. And then I think a couple of nights before that, he went 16 and 13. So
you know what happens in the playoffs.
I do know what happens in the playoffs with him. So
listen, I'll tell you this. If LeBron can do that, if he can beat the Suns, he will move from number 2 to 1B. And if
why not 1A?
Never. All right. So we're gonna stay in LA because I love LA. Mm-hmm. Paul George may return. Mm-hmm. Do the Clippers, if with Paul George back and healthy, would the Clippers have a shot at doing anything?
I don't think so, because I look at this unit. I think that they're a bunch of scrappy guys. I think that they're a hard-nosed, hard-playing team. I think Tyronn Lue done a great job with that unit, Tone. I don't think he's done a good job. I think he's done a great job with that unit. But we're at a point in the season where the Clippers are who they are. Now, if you're going to add Paul George back into this lineup, you could sell me the logic maybe 2 months ago, because now he could get acclimated to what they're doing, and then they could start getting acclimated to him. It's not just going to be him just easing right back into his role. This is a different unit, and they've had to play different since he's been off the floor. I equate that with what happened with the Golden State Warriors. Well, Jordan Poole was rolling. Klay Thompson had been out for 2 years. Well, now there was no rush to get Klay Thompson back in the lineup because this Warrior team was rolling. Well, now you throw him back in the lineup. Now you screwing up Jordan Poole because he went into a slump. His game now goes like this. Well, the same idea with the Clippers, where they've been without Leonard and they've been without Paul George for the majority. I think Paul George went out in December. So they've been without him for the majority of the season. So to get Paul George back, now that means that they got to switch up what it is they're doing. Because Paul George's game is what it is. He's a scorer. He's a slasher. He needs the basketball. Well, that takes away now from what they're doing. And they got their guys that are in some sort of unison, right? So now you bring Paul George back in there, and you're going up against teams like Memphis, the Phoenix Suns, who they've been playing this way the whole season, and they've been a unit the whole season. And now to add Paul George to that, I think you're going to have a really difficult time beating those guys.
Okay. So even with Paul George, because let's assume the Lakers are 8, right? They're taking out Phoenix. Paul George and the Clippers aren't taking out Memphis. That's not happening.
I don't think so.
I'm with you on that one. I don't think. I don't even know that. Would you even bring back Paul George?
I'm trying to figure out why he's playing, to be honest with you.
I'm almost at the point where I would say, look, what does he do for these Clippers if they bring him in for the playoffs? First of all, there's no guarantee they're going to be in the playoffs. That's the part about this play-in tournament that I hate. Right now they're the 8th seed. Right? If they lose, who's the 7th seed? Minnesota. So if they lose to Minnesota and then lose to let's say they lose to the Lakers. That's how the Lakers get the 8th seed. Well, now they're out of the playoffs. But let's say they figure out a way and they make it into the playoffs. There's no guarantee.
Well, if they lose to Minnesota, they're out. There is no. If they lose to Minnesota in the play-in, they're out.
But why am I still confused about this?
Well, the reason why you're confused about it, Tone, because it's dumb. That's why.
It is dumb.
That's why you're confused about it. Because it's dumb.
No, I thought 7, 8 play each other.
Right? And the loser of that is out.
No. 7 plays 8. The winner becomes the 7th seed.
Okay.
The loser plays the winner between New Orleans
of the 9-10 game.
Of 9-10.
That's right. See, so now I'm confused.
Yeah, they have to lose
twice.
Right. They have to lose twice to be out.
So
So they'd have to lose to Minnesota and then let's say lose to the Lakers and they're out.
This is dumb.
My thing is, even if they win and they stay at the 8th seed or the 7th, they move up to the 7th seed, which again, the Clippers are 7 wins, 6.5 games, if my math is correct, behind Minnesota. And because you beat them once, you get to take over their seed. I know we talked about this already, but that drives me nuts. So I'm gonna move on from it because it's the dumbest thing.
Don't get them started, folks.
Dumbest thing ever in sport.
Don't get them started.
Okay, I agree. However, let's say they finish at the 7th seed because I have the Lakers at 8 and beating Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
They play Minnesota. You're gonna lose. Why bring Paul George back? Why not just get healthy and get ready for next year? Like, it doesn't make sense. You're not beating the Grizz.
Well, let me ask you this question, Tone. Are they entertaining bringing Leonard back? He tore up his knee last July, so we going on 8-9 months now.
Yeah, let's bring Leonard and George back just to see if we can beat the Grizzlies.
They're not entertaining bringing back Leonard. So Paul George with the UCL injury, which for those of you that don't know, that's when pitchers get that in their elbow, and they have what's called Tommy John surgery. And when that happens, their season is over with. They basically have to get their elbow repaired. Paul George has been out for the last, 4 months? Since December. It's January, February, March, April. So almost 4 months. I'm trying to figure out what the timeline is. I understand that you don't want to. I understand you don't want to waste any more time with these guys because you've had them together now for 2 years and nothing's really come of it. But what you don't want to do is I want to risk losing these guys permanently. That's why we didn't bring Leonard back. Because if he gets hurt again, well, not only do I lose him this season, I lose him next season too. I don't want that. I do not want that.
I think we, I think sometimes people allow narratives to come back too early. Why has it been so long? No, man, because there's a mental aspect to healing too. You need to heal your body, you need to heal your brain, and then you come back because you remember that. I don't know if you had an injury, but I know there were months after I came back that I was like, I don't want to jump, because when I jumped, that's how I landed on someone. That's how I got hurt. So it's just, there's that mental block. We remember seeing Derrick Rose when he first came back, right? Alex Smith, his first time on the field, we all cringed the first time he took a hit, because you have to play different because it's in your head.
I broke my foot my freshman year in college, 10 games in, and I was out for about 6 weeks. It was a small crack. I got the injury. I had the injury that Zion Williamson has.
Oh, okay.
And I was nervous, Tone, because I'm thinking my game was predicated on athleticism and flight. So I'm thinking, am I gonna be able to run as fast as I used to? Am I gonna be able to jump as high? So that was in my head, even though I was working out and I was rehabbing to get myself better. But mentally, I was thinking, am I gonna be able to run as fast? Am I gonna be able to jump as high? Am I gonna be able to do the things that I used to be able to do? I don't know. And that's the beauty
of having a ground game. You don't have to do it as often, but the one time I did, that's what happens. All right. MVP. You and I have kind of gone back and forth with Giannis, with Embiid. We've flirted with some others, but those have kind of been the two that we've said for most of the year. However, Nikola Jokic is now being, at least in some circles, put up as the leader in the MVP race. Except his Denver Nuggets aren't what you would think of as a top tier team. And when you and I talked about these MVPs, what are some of the things we've always said? Well, to be an MVP, at least the way that the NBA has selected them, you have to be the best player with the stats on one of the best teams. At minimum, you have to have, I think, a top 3 seed, if I remember. You've thrown it out. Who are the only people who've won MVP without being on a...
Since the 1975-76 season. That's 47 years. Excuse me. 47 years ago. We've had 2 guys. Jabbar did it in 75-76, and Russ did it in 16-17. That's it. Everybody else who has won the league MVP, they've either been in first, second, or third. They've hosted a playoff series.
And now, with Russ, they didn't know he was going to do it again. But with Russ, listen, what was it? 35, 10, and 10, or whatever the heck his crazy numbers were?
It was 32, 10, and 11.
32, 10, and 11. The first time anyone had averaged a triple-double for a season since the Big O, since Oscar Robertson. And so, okay, we understood a little bit. It's like, hey, it's something that hasn't been done in 30, 40 years. Okay, fine. Let's give it to Russ because, again, we didn't know he was going to do it again.
Which, by the way, Tone, let's make sure we clear. The guy who averaged a triple-double 50 years before him, he didn't win the league MVP that year neither. Okay, so let's make sure we clear.
How was it? I know we're going to take a little sidestep, but...
So, we'll start the conversation with Bill Russell won the league MVP that year. Chamberlain went 50 and 26. Oscar Robinson went 30. Oscar Robinson went 31, 11, and 10. All right. Chamberlain finished in third place, and because Chamberlain finished in second place. I'm sorry, and then Elgin Baylor finished in fourth place, and he went 38 and 10. I'm sorry, 38 and 18. So Elgin Baylor, that's almost 40 and 20, Tone. Yes, and he finished in fourth place in MVP votes, and he went almost 40 and 20. I would love to know the narrative of a guy running around in the NBA today that's almost 40 and 20 and finishes fourth in the MVP votes. I would love to see that.
It's because you hate LeBron James. That's why.
I would love that. That would be my dream, to see a guy running around in the NBA that's almost 40 and 20 to be at the bottom of the MVP race. I would love that. That would be phenomenal to me.
So clearly, you have to have a good team. You have to be the best player on a good team, putting up good numbers, right? To get
the Boston Celtics was in first place, and Bill Russell went 18 and 22 that year.
18 and 22 gets him an MVP. 50 and 26, however, not quite good enough. 40
No.
and 20, not good enough. And
No.
a triple-double averaging
31, 11, and 10. Nope, that ain't good enough neither.
21, 11, and 10, obviously not good enough for the MVP.
No.
Interesting. So if that's the criteria, is that you have to have crazy numbers, be the best player on the best team or one of the best teams, how is Jokic and his sixth place Denver Nuggets, how is he the leader then?
Well, you got to take into consideration what he is doing, which I can appreciate. He does lead the league in PER. He's second in the league in rebounding. He does lead the league in offensive win shares. He does lead the league in defensive win shares. He leads the league in defensive plus minus. He leads the league in offensive plus minus. So he's got some ridiculous numbers, and he's got a lower usage rate than Joker and Giannis. I can appreciate that. But I stand on the notion there is no one who can convince me, and I don't want to sound closed-minded here, but I'm having a very difficult time with your 26, 14, and 7 on a sixth-place team. I'm sorry, 26, 14, and 8 being more valuable than my 29 and 11 or my 28 and 12 and 2 blocks on a first-place team or a second-place team. And the reason why I say that, Tone, is because I'm closer to first place than you are. Not only am I closer to first place than you are, you're closer to being out of the playoffs than I am. You're closer to being out of the playoffs than I am to being in sixth place. So with that being said, you are not more valuable you're not the most valuable player in the league unless we going off simply the stats. And if we're doing that, then what we got to do is we got to change the criteria. All we doing now is we taking wins off the table and we going off what your numbers say. And your numbers have to be ridiculous. You have to do ridiculous work in order for us to consider you. Otherwise, we're going back to if you're winning. I don't know that I'm having a difficult time with that.
Here, let me paint the scenario because Minnesota's only 2 games back of Denver. They've got 10 games to play. It's not crazy to think in 10 games that Minnesota could catch Denver and Denver would be in the play-in tournament, in which case they could lose to the Clippers, lose to New Orleans or the Lakers. They could lose 2 games and be out of the playoffs with the MVP.
And if we're doing that, Tone, we got to put James in the MVP conversation too, because we do have the league leading scorer who leads his team in every category too. So we got to put him in the conversation too. So does Jokic. He leads in points, rebounds. That's what I'm talking about. So if we're doing that, we got to do that. Just like we have to do that.
So let me be clear. I'm not saying that Jokic isn't deserving of MVP consideration or talk.
I am.
I'm not saying he's not deserving. His numbers would suggest he's deserving. But based on you don't think his numbers are deserving?
Tone, rewind the clock back to the 88-89 season.
If Denver was in second place, would he be deserving?
He would win it. Not would he be deserving. He would win it.
But so then his numbers are deserving.
No, and you know why, Tone? Simply because I rewind the clock back to the 88-89 season with your man, the Chicago Airman, 88-89. Jordan goes 33, 8, and 8. Magic won the league MVP going away. So I take that back, Tone. Is he deserving? He is deserving. You know, Jordan didn't sniff the league MVP that year. Magic won it going away. Mike went 33, 8, and 8. First team all-league defense. And he didn't sniff the league MVP. Why? The Bulls finished in 6th place that year in the Eastern Conference. He didn't sniff it. Simply because of that right there. So when I go off what the league MVP in the history means, winning matters. And if you're not winning,
so what I'm saying is, that's when I said he's in second, he wins it. So that's what I'm saying. So his numbers are deserving, is what I'm saying. But based on the criteria that the NBA and the precedent that the NBA has set forth over the last 40 years, right? He shouldn't be in the conversation.
No.
So that's my thing. Is so we can't change. Can we change it now all of a sudden?
That's what it looks like we're doing. That's what it looks. And if that's the case, Tone, then that's what we. If we change it, we got to stay consistent. We got to change
it for everybody, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, needless to say, Jokic is having a wonderful job, but under no circumstances, based on his 6th seed, having his team in 6th, should he be in the MVP conversation. I think we've decided. All right. This mail drop is going to be fun. All right. So, you ready for mail drop?
Oh,
here we go. These are questions from Stefan Diggs. Good luck to the Buffalo Bills next season. Do you wet your toothbrush before putting toothpaste on it?
I brush my teeth in the shower, so yes, I do.
Huh? We need to pause on that one.
No, I brush my teeth in the shower. It kind of defeats, it eliminates the whole other process. I do it in the shower, so it works.
So you're in the shower and you just toothbrush, toothpaste.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Really?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you know what? I'm going to actually put this on a TikTok poll. So right here, I'm going to put it right between us, actually right below us. Do you brush your teeth in the shower? That's the TikTok poll. Let us know. Really? So I will say I don't do that, but I do wet my tooth. I have one of those Oral-B spinning circular, the good ones that the dentists use.
Nice.
And yes, I wet it before I put the toothpaste on. So Stefan Diggs, there's your answer there. All right. The second one's gonna be a little bit harder. Which Keanu Reeves movie is better? The Matrix or John Wick?
I think Neo was just more dynamic than John Wick. John Wick looked like he was trying to play somebody tough. Like Neo became that. And I just dug everything about Neo. Neo was somebody who was fighting being that guy. And he was already that guy. He didn't even know it. John Wick, on the other hand, John Wick was a tough guy, but I don't think he was Neo. And I think that Neo gets the edge.
Well, it's not Neo or John. So movie-wise, you're picking The Matrix over John Wick?
I'm going with The Matrix, yes.
Okay. Let me say this about Neo, and I love The Matrix. Even though if I let my hair down, I look like John Wick right now.
You do got a John Wick look going on, Tone. Yes, you do. If you drop the man bun, you got a John Wick look going on.
That's what I might do. I might copy Aaron Rodgers next Halloween and just be John Wick, because all I got to do is let the hair down. That being said, I actually don't like the fact that Neo kept fighting who he was, and he made a lot of dumb decisions. Listen, I get it. Trinity, the short hair. She pretty. She cute. I'm not putting the world at risk for her. So I didn't like Neo's decisions. That being said, I'm going to give you two answers because that's what I do.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
If I'm just comparing movie to movie, The Matrix versus John Wick, I am picking The Matrix. That being said, if I'm going trilogy for trilogy, then I'm going John Wick, because I feel like the second and third Matrix. To be fully transparent, I haven't seen the newest one, right? Which I do want to see that. However, the trilogy as a whole, I don't. The Matrix, the 2 and the 3, they started to go off in a.
I saw the second one. I haven't seen the third one.
The third one's a little. It goes a little too for me. So for that being said, but John Wick, man. All three, fantastic. So I'm going to go as a trilogy, John Wick. As a solo, I'll take The Matrix over John Wick. All right. I don't even know if this fits your vegan lifestyle, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. Oh no, I'm sure you have. Do you drink like soda pop?
I do not drink soda anymore.
Okay. Well, maybe your juices. Do you prefer canned drinks or bottled?
I'm more of a glass guy, but if I
of course, pour it in my glass.
Yeah,
you're so bougie. You're so bougie, Jay.
I'm not, as a matter of fact. I'm the complete opposite of bougie, to be honest with you. But if I had to choose between the two, between can and bottle, it doesn't matter to me. I would go bottle. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Cans don't bother me. And bottles don't bother me. So.
A lot of people say that a canned drink tastes better than a bottle drink. Do you feel that way or no?
I don't. And see, here's the thing, Tone. A lot of people with the vegan lifestyle, I don't live like that. And the reason why I don't is because I'm not one of those people who I became a vegan. So, you got to save the animals and be pure and all of that. No, I did it because I wasn't feeling good. And I thought that if I changed up my diet, let's see that this might help me. And it did. That's it. That's it. I'm not one of these, I have to drink Perrier water now and get that's not me. No.
So what you're saying is, so I'm asking you, so what you're saying is so in May, right? The
Yeah.
first week of May, 9th, 10th, whatever. You're gonna come join me in Tampa up on my yacht.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And are you gonna have fish, or do I have to have all vegan?
I'm not eating fish.
But it's just because you're not doing it for any. You're not crazy about saving the animals. You're just.
I'm not crazy about it. But if you got, I'm more of a brown rice and pasta, Tone. That's me.
Okay.
Brown rice, pasta.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna try and shoot an episode. I shouldn't have said anything. It was supposed to be a surprise. But anyways, we'll talk about that later on. All right. Last question. See, because we're of that age, you and I. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm guessing we're gonna go 0-2, but I'll ask the question. Do you still have a home landline?
I do not anymore. In fact, I just got rid of it not too long ago, Tom.
How long ago?
Are we in 22? I think like 19.
19?
Just got rid of it. Yeah, I just got rid of it.
19?
Well, the reason why is because, I live in South Florida, and in South Florida, we have hurricanes. And to have a landline, because cell phones go out, but landlines still work. And landlines still work. But I had to
if there's a reason, if there's a reason like that, I'm gonna give you a bit of a pass because I haven't had a landline in 7, 8, maybe 10 years. I haven't had a landline.
I had to get with the times. Like, all right, it's time to get rid of this.
Let me think.
Yeah,
it's been 10 years since I had a landline.
I had to get with the times. So
10 years. Okay. Yeah. So no landline.
No landline. No landline.
Okay. Of these questions, so we're already going to put the do you brush your teeth in the shower? Of those 4 questions, which do you think would make the best poll question? Matrix or John? Maybe, you know what? I'm going to do 4. I'm just going to do all 4 of them.
The Matrix would be huge, I think.
You think the Matrix would be
the Matrix is a revolution. Like, there's a following with John Wick. There's a following it's kind of like Xbox and PlayStation with the Matrix and John Wick. You got Matrix, you got your Matrix people, and you got your John Wick people. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I think I'm gonna post all 4. The other poll. Here's the other poll question. I'm just making this one up, by the way, because I just thought of it right now. I'm thinking at the end of every show, we alternate, and we do a minute to chill, or 1 fluent minute, and one of us will take 1 minute to talk about their favorite part of the show. Is that so? There's the survey question. Is that a good? Should we start doing that? You get the first vote? A minute to chill. I like that. A minute to
absolutely.
Chill.
A minute to chill. Okay. Absolutely, because we could talk about maybe 30 seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds to a minute to talk about.
I used a minute because it just sounded better, but it could be 30 seconds. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Or 20. It could be a 24-second shot clock. Oh, maybe we do a 24-second shot clock. There you go. All right. Well, there you go. That's what we're going to do. So we got a ton of questions coming for you in terms of polls and stuff. Don't forget to check out next week. We'll be back. I'm healthy. I'm alive. Live Monday, 8 p.m. on TikTok. And then obviously we're here Wednesdays and Fridays on Fluent and Chill. Until next time.
Take it light, but take it.